This is us. Ignoring a homeless child who wants to learn. This is us. Not offering a seat to an old woman. While this is Porac.
Sobrang iluga na
Nakita ko yung ang nawawala at 30.
kalunos-lunos ang
Agaw ng lupa.
Tarlac.
Namin alam kung kailan talaga.
This is the result of the eruption of Mount Pinatubo, one of the largest eruptions of the 20th century with millions of refugees and thousands of people dead. By embracing and recognizing the dark historical and cultural fabric of Porac, Pampanga in the Philippines, such as the extrajudicial killings of peasant farmers, the burial of heritage sites, and the discovery of 300 ancient graves, it is important to shed light on the significance of these dark episodes. As you can see, these theories can be applied on design processes, site analyses, in generating interventions, and in assigning design spaces depending on their usage and functionality. These also help us understand the inevitability of death, the fallibility of human nature, and the frailty of human physique, challenging us to reflect within ourselves. Good morning, everyone. I am Mary Cristina Garcia, and the title of my paper is Manifesting Dark Tourism to Cultivate Cultural Memory in the Volcanic Landscape of Porac, Pampanga in the Philippines, with my advisor, Professor Nati L. Navarra. So the meaning of Pámiganakâ in my paper is to remember. To remember the past means to acknowledge the good and even the bad, to recognize that life is a comedy to those who think, and a tragedy to those who feel. To better understand my study, concepts relating to dark tourism are incorporated. These are the darkest to lightest spectrum that categorize the sites based on a continuum, the indicators of their history, authenticity, storytelling, and experiences and motivations in visiting the sites. Ultimately, these concepts should push users to feel empathy towards the history they have perceived. What could have these people in Porac gone through in the past, and how lucky am I that I am here to witness it from the future instead of going through it firsthand? Alongside it, they will also be urged to review their identity, because in order to practice empathy, we need to see others in the lens of our life. Who am I compared to them? Then one can be led to the question of one's purpose. What do I do now with this newfound realization? The foundation of my study is based on the indifference of humans on the suffering and tragedies in Porac, where we are confronted with the uncomfortable truth and idea that we are an accomplice to these tragedies. And this study will focus in the town of Porac, Pampanga. In data gathering, my methodology includes survey, interview, consultation, and site visits. Based on my survey, the profile of my target market are 18 to 24-year-old female college students who are from Luzon, who are willing to spend at least 5,000 to 10,000 pesos or 85 to 170 US dollars. Surveys also showed that 70% of the respondents are not aware on the concept of dark tourism. For my interview, 5 experts were interviewed on their expertise in agricultural, geology, archaeology, tourism, and religion. Next, in consultation, a tourism officer and tourism consultant verified my tourism circuit and tourism packages. After that, we are now going to analyze the data from the correlational study, narrative analysis, and data triangulation. So for my correlational study, which focuses on the experience of tourists, age group and frequency of travel suggests that younger age group tend to travel more frequently, and older age group tend to travel less frequently. Next is the gender and frequency of travel, suggesting that there is a slight chance that the proportion of males tend to increase relative to females. And lastly, the gender and willingness to visit a dark tourism site shows a direct but weak correlation. For the narrative analysis, five themes showed up, which are the environmental hazards and management, the cultural continuity and transformation, the narrative of places and identity, the economic diversification and opportunities, and the community engagement and empowerment. And lastly, for the data triangulation, experts experts reveal that the first step in creating a circuit is to first map the tourism circuit, second, assess each tourism sites, identify the tourism market, and provide action plans. So through this information, I have come up with 6 tourism circuits around the whole town based on their duration, intensity, and quantity of tourist destinations. So tourism packages and ticketing systems are also included in my paper. In the process of creating these circuits, while also anticipating the flock of tourists, it has necessary to come up with a tourism enterprise that includes accommodations and other amenities to allow tourists to enjoy and be more comfortable with their travels. This tourism enterprise is located along the Pasig Pochero River, a 48-hectare barren land located in one of the alluvial fans of Mount Pinatubo. So in designing my landscape, my design concept revolves around the symbol of Ouroboros, which is the concept known in Greek, ancient Egypt, and even alchemy. It perfectly exemplifies the repeated cycle of birth and death of humans, and the endless suffering and traumas endured by the community since the beginning of time. During eruption, lives are lost, communities are destroyed, and every after eruption, new lives are born, communities are rebuilt, and landscape is reshaped. To portray the symbolism of in the landscape design, the curvilinear form is mimicked through the form of walkways, buildings, and the landscape design. It is more evident in the construction of riprap revetment on the site that aside from the rainfall that would stream down the gorge, the drainage of the whole site would also cascade down, filtering the water through a natural process of filtration, eventually directing the flow of the filtered water into the Pasig Pochera River. This is not only sustainable, but also a natural and efficient way of filtering water and directing it to a river. To have a better vision of the site, here are some perspectives of each areas. So this is the view of the museum. The structure is incorporated with the boulder on both sides as a support and for aesthetic purposes. This structure also houses the remnants of the past, such as the archaeological tools left by the ancestors of Porac. Next is an elevated walkway that bridges the two sides of the site. It showcases sharp angles and high contrasting colors to align with the theme of dark tourism. This perspective shows the waterfalls in front of the restaurant. This feature not only enhances the visual aesthetic of the site, but also enhances the auditory quality by blocking noises. Next, we have the hammock. This feature takes advantage and plays with the elevation of the site, while having a view of the entire site. Next, we have the pool, al fresco for those who want to dine, glamping area for accommodation, and lastly, food stalls at the back of the lobby. So there are also camping area, outdoor cinema, souvenir shops, local market, parking lot, service area, and materials recovery facility. For my conclusion, this landscape design, located near the Pasig Pochero River, was found not only feasible, but effective as a sustainable landscape in naturally filtering, collecting, and directing water towards the flowing water of river. The construction of this landscape design was done through the help of several experts in the different fields of archaeology, tourism, theology, agriculture, and geology. These categorized outputs are analyzed based on history, authenticity, storytelling, experiences, and ultimately forming a landscape design with interconnected dark tourism sites. Here are references for my final statement. There's nothing inherently dark in dark tourism. The past is already part of our community and ourselves as individuals. That's why we must learn to embrace and celebrate it as we use it to forge better, stronger, and more mindful futures. That is all, everyone. Thank you for listening.